having me there. I would like to focus on the first, a little bit summary, what was presented by the previous speakers regarding which way operational efficiency is enhanced, and this is a way for the sustainable future. In this case, I will use the summary prepared by my colleague Wal Zaki, who is huge experienced in managing different type of offshore vessels. So let me read, and then I will focus on the topic. Key strategies preparing the transformation will include hybrid propulsion systems, data-driven performance management, advanced dynamic positioning systems, digital twin technology. I would like to highlight that in case we discuss of above topics, there is one common thing. This common thing is a knowledge. It means in all these cases, we do step forward relying on knowledge. And when we talk about knowledge, we have to understand that knowledge is a power, has a value, and the currency for knowledge is data. It means the ability to collect, analyze, and act in real time to stay ahead. Just a moment ago during panel discussions, you highlight several such cases in practical terms, and it's always discussion about data and then something we call information. With the information, there is some difficulty in defining it. Many different sciences define it in a different way, and it's one of the topics which are very, very, very difficult to be precise. But for the pragmatic reasons, it means practical use. We have to approach the data. We have to approach the process of information. Why? Because the proper information, the proper quality information, and the proper handling of this information allows to make informed decisions. This will help to identify patterns, this will help to identify failures, this will help to identify possibilities. It means standardize, it means simplification, it means efficiency improvement. Our operation of vessels can vary a lot. Of course, everybody of us is aware that operation of offshore vessel can differ a lot depending on the project involved, geographical area, legal environment, and first of all, client requirements. But it always has common thing. It's information. You have to make informed decisions. You have to adopt. You have to understand your environment. In order to handle information, you have to be aware what you understand under the name of information. Information is not a data. In the practical way, you must, and this is a human involvement in this process, you must first define the question, what you want, which data will be useful for you to understand the operational environment, interactions, to make a decision. And this question is the critical thing, the most important part of the whole management. You cannot avoid involvement of the human, and this human has to be educated, has to be knowledgeable, has to be prepared for this, has to understand and know very well his business, whether it is the manager of the company, or is a captain, or is a chief engineer. This making information we can call a process. Process will include receiving, sending data. For this, we use the technology which is based on these advances in the communication technology, remote access by communication lines in the open sea, in the desert, but it is based on the typical binary mathematics, the Shannon principle. It means computer is transferring the data. There is something or there is no something. The problem starts when you have something which cannot be described this way. For example, there is a brown boat. There is no brown boat. And this is a digital information. 0, there is no brown boat. 1, there is a brown boat. The question is what happens when the boat is brown but partly grayish, or the boat is brown with a light brown color, or the brown with a little bit glossy surface. All these things are not in 0-1 realm. These things are related to the not quantity of information data, they are strictly related to the quality of information. For this thing, we have to be prepared, and from the user side, vessel owner, manager, captain, chief engineer, and from the service provider side. There are specialized companies, we meet them today, who are offering a lot of solutions. Both parties, when they meet each other, have to be prepared. They have to have identified these important questions. Then they have to have the understanding how the information will circulate in their organization. And the opposite part is prepared to meet such demands, is prepared to also ask from their side proper questions to provide the service necessary and tailor-made. But in each of these cases, we always see the information. Be aware that commonly information management process, it's the same in every condition, will consist of receiving, sending data, storage data, analyzing the data from sensors, reports, defect anomalies, identify breakdown patterns. And in this case, in this context, we understand as data set which is reducing our lack of knowledge on the analyzed asset. This way, information allows its real or a possible user improvement in knowledge and operational environment, more targeted, efficient actions. In this point, it is visible that data itself is not an information. Data answering the question created by a human, this is the information. Information alone is a noise. It is circulating around us, but it's not useful. It can even be a problem. Ability of gaining information, it means having knowledge, making possible creating proper questions. And I want to stress in this point the active role of the human factor in building information system, but it means we need to, how is it called nicely, empower human talent. At the end, anybody of us, when dealing with the changes in management, adapting to the situation, is always in a situation that it has to use the own brain, its own creativity, and nobody is able to release us from this responsibility. To use properly now rapidly developing technologies, we need to understand them, we need to have a knowledge, and we need to have a way to communicate between each other. This information management has certain properties. I want to highlight this, the most important, which will be absolutely at most in analyzing how to do things. One thing is information disruptions. In real life, in the real world, we always have disruptions and informations are disrupted, several possible factors. It can be lack of accuracy, missing data sets, or some action targeted by other, let's say, business users. The second thing is that information can be asymmetric. It means some business parts are not in possession of the same informations than others. It is mostly happening in business environment like this. The second disruption and asymmetry means information cannot be fully verified. You will get answer to your question, but you are not able to trust it 100%. Another challenge will be, especially when the companies are big, number of vessels is large, flows of informations are large. They may not be able, we are not maybe able to comprehend these informations. Simply, there is too much for a simple mind. This is related to the last item I want to highlight. A lot of informations are not structured. You get answers for the questions, but you don't have a structure for the question. It means information is dispersed. In real terms, neither disruption or asymmetry cannot be ruled out completely, 100%. This is a limitation in the decision-making process, in the HAZIT operations, in HAZOPs. It means identification of risks, analyzing of risks, but also calculation operational safety margins or acceptable levels of risks. We know the word alarms. Be aware that asymmetry and disruptions reduce efficiency of information, and when you build your systems, when you operate with the technology, you have to always deal with this. You have to eliminate as much as possible these problems, but you cannot eliminate all. You must live with this. Important is that typically information serves to control the systems. On a level of electrotechnology, information allows to make orders. On a level of the automatic, allows to control the processes. There is reverse information. On a level of managing organization, it allows to control humans who will do control of other processes. But it can be also structured. The system always has a source of information. The system has means of data transfers. The system has receivers of informations. The system has analyzing module. The system has internal connections and communications. You build the system to reduce the disruptions. You build the system to achieve as much as possible reduction in asymmetry. Then it helps you to make better decisions. If we look at the current oil and gas environment, we see that there is a lot of fluctuation in prices, in policies. So the characteristic of the situation is that it's highly diversified and highly unpredictable. In such situation, one always tries to balance the proper investments with the situation. One has to use as much as possible already existing assets. It means optimization, but it means information is the key in having such a situation. Why we are not able to be 100% effective? We know our company, we know our business, captains know their vessels, chief engineers know technology and interactions on the vessels. There are a lot of ways to describe these actions, to describe situation on the vessel. You have manuals, you have instructions of the company. On an upper level, it means that you prepare some kind of a mapping of your company, which will include explanation of workflows in connections between process elements. It includes analyzing of mapped processes, looking for effectiveness, performance monitoring. It includes communication of processes to parties involved, and it includes operations optimal strategies. The thing is, there are a hell of methods on mapping. They can be more complicated, they can be less complicated, they can be done on a level with a small company which has 3 persons management inside the company. They cannot spend too much money. There can be involved a huge, massive number of consultants, third parties. It is true, the better you do the mapping, the better you are able to build this information management and control system, the better you manage the company, the better you achieve efficiency. But always, the message from this presentation is one: technology is rapidly advancing. Technology is giving us fantastic opportunities. You talk about fuel trucks, you talk about DP systems, you talk about the different type of offshore operations, but always there will be human factor, there will be creativity of the human, which is the top important. So you have to be able to identify the set of skills of these humans. You have to identify your own needs, what you should know, what you should learn, and you have to understand that information was always important. You remember books on history when the information was transferred by the birds or transferred by the couriers. Now we have information transferred by means of the binary system. Maybe soon we will have information transferred by the qubits, by the quantum technology. But it still is an information. It still requires to create a question by the human and then to take informed decisions. I want to highlight only one typical case presenting how it works in real life. Most of you are familiar with the DP2 vessels dynamic positioning system with the backup, with the redundancy. They can be done in many ways, but what is characteristic? The system maintains position by itself. That's why it's automatic. But it is a human which is programming the system, adapting to the situation. It is the human which is installing the power management, power supply system, and design the system for these DP operations related to the type of operations. On a small vessel, you have one generator one side, you have another generator another side, you have something on standby, you have boost bars, and you have a backup in the fuel and everything. And this will be enough on the small scale on DP2 system. But be aware that, for example, like vessels employed when I was with Aramco, Saipem Constellation, the vessel is a construction and pipe layer, and it has a power system based on the 16 generators divided in groups by 4, and the system is highly complicated. But what it means, the system is communicating a lot between elements of the system by itself, not involving humans. But it does not relieve us humans with understanding how the information flows, how the information is affecting the situation, because we have to make informed decisions with this system. So my message and this provocative talk is that we are facing development. Development is around us. It's fast. But it is operational excellence in information quality concept that is showing its capability, and it's absolutely 100% still connected with the human, with the creative minds of the human. And when we build our companies, we have to meet all these things together. Thank you very much.